In a world that is robbing dudes of their dudeness, three normal, everyday, middle-aged dudes are taking a stand for dudes everywhere. Join us as we talk about life as a dude in today's world.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Dudefinity podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things dude. My name is Sterling, and joining me as always, Santa's favorite little helper, Jordan.
Man, we're working hard up here at the North Pole, dude, trying to get this job done. I'm loading up that sleigh, got some last-minute things to put on there. We're hoping we can hit everybody this year. You know, personally, as Santa's favorite helper, I'm hoping he delivers the number one gift I want, because New England Patriots got me lit, so I'm feeling kind of super. I'm hoping he gives us that win. But outside of that, just cold as up here, boy.
You've been getting into a bit of the Christmas cheer already, haven't you?
Oh, I'm very excited, man. I'm very excited to be here. Very excited to do this with you today. Think it's gonna be a fun episode. It's our Christmas special, man, so it's gotta be extra special. You're wearing candy canes and Darth Vader. I'm wearing blinking lights. Man, if I was walking outside behind your car and you were slow rolling through my neighborhood, would you pull over for me? Probably. You know what I mean? Out here looking like a cop.
So I think we kind of want to. Personally, I'd like to start talking about a recent boxing match.
Oh, dude. Oh no! All I could say is to anybody that is a Jake Paul fan, why? I'm so glad he got knocked out. He deserved it. Joshua, you're my hero. You might be the greatest boxer in the world that nobody's ever heard of. Love it. Keep going.
Oh, God. Anthony Joshua.
I know who Anthony Joshua is, but a lot of people didn't know who Jake Paul was fighting. And I got that question a lot. So maybe that's not an Anthony, maybe that's not a Joshua problem. Maybe that's a promotions problem.
Well, I think it's a boxing problem in general.
Yeah.
With MMA coming up and doing what it's doing, I think there's just a little less interest in boxing. But I'm boxing from way back, and I had a thought about this whole thing. That did you watch the Tyson fight with him?
Yeah, this is what happens when Jake Paul fights not 60-year-old men.
Well, no. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you.
Tyson should have killed him and would have killed him.
There's a bunch of times that Tyson, slipped under a punch and would have in his prime taken Jake Paul's head off with an uppercut, a short uppercut, but didn't. And then, so I don't know if you saw after this fight with Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul flat out said he didn't follow the script, which is, if I was a bettor, I would be
very
absolutely livid.
Yeah.
But
Jake Paul, man, those fights are scripted. They gotta be. I mean, come on, man. Let's face it. Like, dude's tough. Like, he's a big dude. He can fight. He's learned some art. He's got some skill. But at the end of the day, like, everything he does is about staging for an audience, and it's always been that way. And I'm sorry, but I'm actually, for one, really glad that Joshua knocked him slam the hell out. I felt like he needed to get knocked around a little bit. Stop playing around with people, man. Like, this is serious to some people.
I mean, he blew the dude's jaw apart.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was amazing. Even when Jake Paul fell and he went, whoo, I was like, yeah, boy. Like, are you kidding me? He is done.
And he's still claiming he won 2 rounds, which is hilarious.
Oh.
Like, Anthony Joshua, there's not a lot of guys out there with the kind of one-punch knockout power that Anthony Joshua has. Did you see him fight Francis Ngannou?
Well, the reach on the guy is like the size of Jake Paul, like tight. Like, I mean,
he's a big.
It was an unfair reach, man. Like, truthfully,
it was fair.
No,
Jake
it was
Paul
fair
to get in the ring.
It was 100% fair. My point in saying that is there's no reason in the world. Like, boxing used to be like weight class driven, and it wasn't this. It's almost like they're making it to me, Jake Paul is making it like a laughing stock, like almost like a comedic thing, and he's dumbing it down, man. And so it's kind of stupid. Like, if I'm Dana White in UFC, I'm going, hey, let's start a boxing division and let's start pushing boxing again.
I mean, that's a tough thing to do. Yeah,
but dude, they're making it a mockery, like with all the different.
Like I say, they both walked away with $90-something million, so obviously people were paying to see it.
I mean,
So,
I get it.
but
People are bored. And
did you see the Anthony Joshua Francis Ngannou fight?
no,
Anthony Joshua did the same thing to Francis. He didn't break his jaw, but he knocked him out. So I don't
are you
know.
surprised?
No. Well, I mean, Francis is obviously a much bigger dude
Anthony
than.
Joshua's built like Lennox Lewis, dude. Like,
Yeah, he's a big guy.
yeah, just
Yeah.
just a big dude. Like,
But
speaking of big dudes, go ahead.
I was gonna
You
say
agree.
I do agree with you though. Like I'm hoping this is the end of the Jake Paul thing, but supposedly now he wants to fight Francis Ngannou, and I hope Francis just absolutely murders
I
him.
had heard rumblings of that. I also heard that Jake Paul wanted to fight like Angel Reese, your mom, my mom, and anybody else who would step
He's
in the
gonna
ring
go.
with him. Like,
He's gonna head down to the old folks' home and just take all comers.
hey, Granny, give you $1,000 to step in here with me. No, dude, he's ridiculous. Like, it's played out, and
Yeah,
to me, like the end, done with Jake Paul. So speaking of big dudes, how about the guy that we were hardest on, saying he couldn't lead a team, might not be able to lead a championship contender? All of a sudden, if season ended today, Jaylen Brown is first team All NBA because of his stats across the board, man. The dude is playing lights out. The people are starting to play. The cast is starting to support around him, and then our boy Hugo, man, come on, bro. Like Hugo, his plus minus leads all rookies, dude, and that's including Cooper Flag, who, by the way, we had a monster game last night.
I mean, the thing with the Celtics is that you're getting your bench production is just so good, and because you've got Hugo, you've got Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, all playing incredibly important minutes and
I don't
playing
like
well in
Baylor's
those
minutes. Baylor's not. Baylor's not. Come on, man. Look at the stats. Baylor is not.
Listen,
Baylor's not.
you have just you're so reactive, like.
No,
their bench
really, look
production
it
was
up.
like 32 points per game. 32
No,
points.
they're doing great, but Baylor is not included in that. If anybody was to be traded right now, it's probably most likely going to be like a Baylor or a Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser is starting to separate himself and take that role again, which is good. Maybe his back's finally a little better. But dude, if you look at the stats do not pan out in Baylor Shireman's favor. Like, he would be better off going down to the G League and developing for a little bit.
I don't know. Joe seems to trust him because he played him like 20 minutes. So with that second unit, that made that comeback.
It's also December where you're showcasing talent to see as you start to go into the trade deadline and who's available. You can't.
I don't think you, unless you're going to package him with Anthony Simons, I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
They love second round picks. The Boston Celtics love to get second round picks. They do. And I'm telling you, Baylor Shireman for a second round pick at this point is not a terrible thing.
I don't think you make that kind of a move. You're third in the league, right? You're third in the East.
I was gonna say that's a little generous, bud, but I appreciate the candor there. Like,
they're third in the East. They're they've won 8 out of their last 10. I don't think I don't think you make massive changes unless it's a massive changes you're planning to use to carry over to next season. So unless you're going after a guy that you're like, this is going to be our guy for 2 to 3 more seasons, that's a different story. But I wouldn't want to see them send Shireman somewhere for a second round pick, because 99% of second round picks don't go anywhere. But
so something I noticed with this team, I'm curious your thoughts on this. One thing I noticed is that they almost seem to play with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, very feisty, like underdog mentality that we didn't play with when Jason Tatum was leading the charge, which is interesting. Is it because the mentality of this team is they can't, and they're tired of hearing they can't? And that's what's making them ball out and kind of, rally around that message. Kind of like Mbutu from 2008 with Pierce and those guys is the rallying cry that they can't do it. And so that's what's kind of pushing them to elevate their play. Because I got to tell you, man, like, the mentality seems more aggressive to me than it does when Jason Tatum was last year.
Yeah, I think you're probably not wrong, but I think this is also a team that was told you're supposed to lose, and that some people just go, yeah, I guess we are, or some people say, and I credit this to Joe Mazzulla's coaching. I think that he said absolutely not. We're going to go out there and be the best that we can possibly be. Now, what that ends up looking like by the end of the season, no one knows. But if you're coming into it with the intent to win, to be
Yeah.
competitive, that can be and especially when you've got young guys you're giving an opportunity to, the fact that they're getting that kind of bench production just again speaks a lot to coaching.
Since you keep wanting to remind me of how much I dislike Joe Mazzulla at times, there's a lot of things that he's great at. There's a lot of things he's not great at. One of the strengths of Joe Mazzulla is the head game. He's very good at playing the head game. And so mental motivation, I think, is a little bit of what's going on. And I'll give him the credit for that. I will.
Good.
You know what I
Good.
mean? I think a lot
Good.
of it's the I can't. But what I wanted to point out to you real quick, because I find this very interesting. I noticed you were wearing a Darth Vader Christmas sweater.
Yes.
I also noticed that the Celtics are kind of like the dark horse of the NBA right now, like the outside favorite that nobody thought was really going to be that good without their star. Okay, dark horse. Okay.
Okay.
And they smell blood in the water in the East, so they want to go after it. Okay. You're wearing a red and white. You've got the dark for Darth Vader. You got that dark coloring and everything else. Plus, you got the green collar. Is this a Boston Celtics Darth Vader sweatshirt or sweater? Christmas sweater?
I think it's just a Christmas sweater.
No, you got the green collar, man. Why isn't it red? Why isn't it white?
Man, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. There's no subliminal messaging going on here.
I see a subliminal message. I see an Easter egg right there, man. I just uncovered one for you. Oh, you even got green Celtics colored sleeves. And I bet you if we looked underneath it, you got a Boston Celtics t-shirt on.
I might.
I bet you
The
do.
world
I
will
can kind of
never
see a
know.
green color. The world will never know.
The world will
The
never
world.
know.
No, I'm just messing with you, dude. So interesting thing this week that I thought, you just from where you sit in the world and your viewpoints on life, the prescription drug costs and as a whole, like that's awesome, right? Like that's got to be pretty badass. I mean, but I worry about it, and I want you to tell me why I shouldn't. I worry about it because as we lower the cost of medicine, healthcare is expensive. So if we bring down the cost of healthcare, what does that do to the health field? Is that those jobs are typically six-figure jobs for a lot of people. You know what I mean? They're, and if you bring the cost down, where's the money come from to fund the staffing that we need when there's already such a shortage within, say, the nursing field or, emergency medicine or specialty medicine as a whole? There's already very much so a shortage. Without that money, I worry that access to good healthcare might be limited because of this in some ways.
I mean, I can't in my head connect the two. I'll be honest with you. So here's what I'll say about the prescription drug thing. It's hard to reconcile the idea that they're so expensive and that it's a needed thing. When drug companies have to go, well, the U.S. pays so much for them because of research and development. Somebody's got to pay for that, so you're going to do it. But at the same time, they're making record profits and paying their CEOs millions and millions of dollars. So, and drugs are a weird thing, the way that like a hospital would purchase them. I learned this from my time as a as an ice cream scooper at Baskin Robbins,
as a stenographer at the Whale Museum.
Yes. So it's kind of a weird thing. So a hospital doesn't buy drugs from the drug company. They buy basically drugs from a middleman. And the middleman may say to the hospital, you know what, we will sell you drug A at this price per pill, but you have to also buy a certain amount of drug B. And you may not need drug B, but because you need drug A, you end up having to buy drug B. Yeah. And so there's a lot of weird nuances with the way that they purchase medications.
Seems wasteful.
Well, and again, some drugs are super expensive. But this is technology as far as the manufacturing process that's been around since like the 1950s. There's not really
Right.
any major changes like as far as the way drugs are manufactured. Obviously,
Right.
there's changes in the way that they're designed and developed and that sort of thing. But I think this is a good thing. I think this is personally. I think it's a fantastic thing. I
Now,
also.
so they said this week that this was step one,
Mhm.
that there's a step two, and that now it's the insurance companies. And I don't know what
Yep.
that means. I don't know what the pressure is. I don't know if that means that they're going to force them to lower premiums because the cost of stuff is going to come down.
Mm.
I don't see how you reset something that is so expensive already.
So again, okay, this is the way I'm going to put this. Um, if you go into a hospital and you have insurance, right?
Yeah.
You go into a hospital, you have an operation, you have insurance, your insurance company pays. If I go into the same hospital, get the same operation, I don't have insurance. The likelihood is I am never going to pay that hospital. So your
Right.
insurance company is not only paying for you, they're paying for me. That's why one of the
Right.
reasons it's so expensive is because hospitals have to recoup money that they lose from people
Yeah.
who can't pay them. Um, so that's one thing. If everybody had coverage, genuinely everybody had coverage, then we're talking a much different story as far as the
Right.
when it comes to hospitals. The other problem with hospitals is as a general rule, they are extremely top heavy. The other there's like I could go on and
They need to
like
switch that.
yeah, they're top heavy. You need an army of medical coders to code things so that insurance companies will pay, and the insurance companies go out of their way to not pay. They'll do whatever they can because at the end of the day, they are embarking on what I would like to refer to as an altruistic endeavor in trying to provide medical coverage for people and make sure that people get the
The problem
health
is the
care that they
medical
need.
coding system needs to be simplified as well. Like
Well,
that to me has always been so overcomplicated.
well, that's an issue with the insurance companies.
Right.
Again, this is a way that they use to avoid paying stuff. They will do whatever they can to not pay because again, this is kind of an altruistic endeavor providing health care, but you
Yeah.
have a company that is genuinely just there to make money.
And
So you
more
have
people
to
would have it if it costs a whole heck of a lot less for sure. So
well, and absolutely. And I'm not I am not a big proponent of government being involved in basically anything. But when it comes to healthcare, I think it needs to be a single payer system. It really does. I think you wipe the slate clean, you get rid of the insurance companies, you go to a single payer system, totally government funded, and moreover, people need primary care providers. They need to see a doctor on a regular basis so that they don't end up in such a bad way that they come to an ER or end up admitted to the hospital.
yeah.
Like, when you to get on my soapbox here about healthcare, and then I will step off as quickly as I can. Uh, when you look at any study that looks at outcomes of a single payer system versus a multi-payer system like what we have in the US. So basically, the government funds it, the government runs it versus what we have in the US. Every other industrialized country has a single payer system. Two, they spend less money per capita than we do. Three, they get better results. So people are healthier. They live longer. They get seen more. Believe it or not, I know Canadians will disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. But when you look at the actual raw data, people get seen quicker. They get treated quicker. They have better health outcomes. Overall, it's better. It's just a better system. Whether or not this particular government can implement something like that, that's a different story. I don't ever see it being a thing. I think we're just going to be stuck
Well,
in the way that we are.
one thing I don't understand about cancer. Okay, perfect example.
Sure.
Cancer is a medical crisis that faces a lot of families, a lot of people. It's a big deal. It's the number one thing that gets talked about from a medical perspective as to what, this person has cancer, that person has cancer, this kind of cancer, that kind of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand how yearly, as part of our physical in America, we are not given a PET scan. I don't understand it. I'll never understand why the insurance companies aren't required to give us those scans.
Well,
You know,
because so
it's cost, I know, but my sister
it's not
Rachel
just
will give you an
cost.
example. Well, my sister,
Mm-hmm.
she's in Japan. She
Mm-hmm.
goes over there. I forget what it cost her, but she basically went to the doctor. She had a bunch of tests run, pap smear, all the women tests, but then she also had, I believe she had like an EKG, she had a CAT scan, she had an ultrasound, she had all these things, a PET scan, all in a day. Within 3 days, she got the results, and the bill I think Dad said was like 115, $120
Mm-hmm.
total. Like, it's insane, man. Like, if we really if we really wanted to fix a problem, we'd worry about keeping people healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
know,
and it's more expensive to treat somebody with a chronic health issue than it is to help prevent them
yeah,
from getting it. Now, as far as so those sorts of things often come up with like one of the arguments would be that you increase the likelihood of false positives and you end up having to chase down things that maybe you wouldn't really need to chase down. Is that a real good excuse? No, but again,
no, I'd rather chase down things that didn't need to be chased down and know that that
right.
person is completely healthy.
Yeah.
Like,
So
I just
it's
feel
a
like there should be an option that includes a PET scan. Like, maybe charge me an extra $10 a month and give me an option on my plan that says, because they're so package driven and deductible
Mhm.
driven that they're not care driven.
No,
They're not
well,
care
absolutely
driven
not.
at all. And
That's
so
not
it's
their
like,
job. Their job is
to
to
me,
make
my
as much
most
money as they can.
valuable thing, I would go to the doctor every year and get a PET scan. I would, if I was given one.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just saying.
I'd be personally more as as a individual of a certain age, I'd be more concerned with coronary artery disease and heart disease and
Well, that's just because I'm
than
fat.
cancer.
That's not
But
because of my age, but
I'm
thank you.
including myself in that.
I didn't
Um,
hear that at all. That's not what I heard, but I felt it. I felt it. It's
but
okay.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
just
No,
and
but just
I
give us more options, man. Like,
but what is the incentive for them to do that? That's
nothing. That's where the government, as
exactly.
much as I hate the government, like, overreach, I mean, the government has to step in and fix it. You're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. And you know me, man. Like, that is not at all what I want them to do,
Hmm.
but in any way. But that's the one spot that it should be. Just like our food supply, it should be protected by the government. I hate that the FDA in some ways is government driven, but it's more of, let's face it, man. The FDA is more of a who's paying me the most this day kind of thing than they are. And so that's tough for another day. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. But guys, I have to say this. We're excited to be with y'all, man. Merry Christmas. Like,
Merry
this is
Christmas.
awesome. I personally am excited to turn the page on 2025. It was a
Hmm.
rat race at the end of the year. It was a for my job personally, and there was just a lot of things that happened. 2025 left some scars, but it also had some great things happen. So looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll do a New Year's episode too.
Hmm.
Sterling is getting his present tomorrow. That's going to be very cool. I heard what it was. It's really awesome. It's a life-size version of Brad Williams, which means it's this big. And he's going to enjoy the hell out of it. He's going to put it in his theater room. Um, so we'll see how that goes.
Uh, so I don't. While we're on the subject of Trump, I while I think it's fantastic that he's going after reducing drug prices, I the Golden Fleet, that's the Trump class and the Golden Fleet.
There's also a Trump Visa.
What?
There's also a Trump
What the-
coin. There's a Trump
I
card. But here's the thing. It all costs money. Whatever, man. Like, at the end of the day, like, they want to call him a king. He's going to put his face on everything. I don't really care.
that's just
As long, the only thing I care about with him is that he's just a dick. I wish he would just be nice. Like, I wish he would just be kind once in a while. And the thing is, he does a lot of nice things. He just sounds like an asshole. So, like, do me a favor. Stop being an asshole, Donald Trump. We love you. We want to vote for you. We want to continue to uplift your policies and be excited about them. you're really hard to defend when you act like a jackass to women, and I am the father of a little girl. So stop acting like a jackass, but keep winning for this country. Thank
Yeah, like
you.
I say, I don't understand the Golden Fleet. I like usually somebody, the next person after you names a class of warship after you. You don't generally don't name it after yourself. Like it's just
Well, hold on. We're
it's a
talking
bit.
about a guy that literally in the White House defined all decorum in the hall under like Barack Obama and George Bush's like
Oh, the
pictures. Like,
plaques, yeah.
come on,
Yeah, I
man.
heard
Like
about it.
the guy, so he's an entertainer. No press
Yeah.
is bad press, right? Like, so
Uh,
all press is good press, whatever, however you want to say it. All I'm saying is, just stop being such a jackass, dude. Like, we get it. Gas prices are down, things are falling, my 401k's up. You know, we're gonna take the fight to other people instead of it being brought to us. Just do us a favor. Tone down the rhetoric, man. Come on. Like, be a dude, be a grand dude, you know, and just chill the out, Sparky.
it's like I say,
You sound a little bit like a Shih Tzu and you need to stop.
it made me chuckle when they said Trump class. I was just like, you narcissistic son of a bitch. You
No
really did it.
kings, no kings, no.
Oh, it's just,
What?
I can't.
He's just, but that's what it's all about. Is it's literally, what do they call it? Baiting. Like he's just baiting,
Rage
the other
baiting.
side,
Yeah.
rage baiting, so that they just can chant a little louder, no kings, when he's just standing there going, "Not your king, I'm your president." But hey, cool. You guys look crazy, awesome, insane. Yeah, cool. So I have an interesting question for you about something that I've been very excited about all week.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse. If you saw earlier episodes, you'll understand that reference. But Sunday night in Baltimore, down 11, Drake May puts that team on his back. He rallies the troops. He's even keeled. Mike Vrabel calls a great game plan for defense. Josh McDaniels calls a perfect offensive game plan. We come back in a playoff atmosphere on the road. Is this team really super, dude? Like, come on, man. Like, are we really talking 6 years later the Patriots are back? Like, seriously, like, I'm pretty excited. We get healthy over the next couple of weeks. We get Milton Williams back on the line defensively. Hopefully gonna get Robert Spillane back. We get 2 offensive linemen back. And we're still just next man up. Like, somebody gets hurt, next guy up. Like, are we back, Sturls? Are we back? Are we back?
It appears so. I mean, I think to say that for sure, you've got to win a Super Bowl. But
Are the parallels there? Are they starting to like kind of become similar to you? Like, are just the imagery of it's almost like a re-image of the dynasty we just watched for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like a
well,
remastering.
I would say, there are similarities between Drake May and Tom Brady. I think Drake May is one of the best quarterbacks at understanding angles and moving within the pocket.
He climbs the pocket so well for a rookie, man.
Especially with the limited amount of I've experience, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Yeah,
But
no, that's a good way of putting it.
and so he has that in common with Tom, and so presumably hopefully he has a nice long career, and as long as they continue to build a good team around him, I don't see why they won't continuously be.
By the way, Tom Brady is still the greatest quarterback. We are not saying that. We're just saying that he's got some similarities to Tom, folks. Just want to make sure we say that because Brady is the GOAT. And if Sterling doesn't agree, don't really care. He probably thinks Jim Kelly is, because if you would have watched earlier in the podcast episodes, you would have found out that Sterling grew up a Bills fan.
I did.
You can tell he's used to losing. But he's my favorite winner now. What you vaping on over there, buddy?
Oh, I don't know, something. So let me
Is it
ask you this.
flavored? Because there's recently been an outlawing I saw of flavored vape juice around the country. Have you seen that? Like they're starting to get rid of, and like, yeah, dude, it's crazy. So like, there's only like 4 companies Juul, and I forget the other ones, but like the major companies get all the contracts. Most of these vape shops that have popped up are going to start to close because they're not allowed to sell certain kind of vape juice.
That's the first
Yeah,
I've
it's
heard
pretty
of it.
crazy. Yeah, you should check it out.
Um,
Or quit vaping. You can decide.
so let me ask you this. What do you think about what's going on in Venezuela?
What do I think of it? It has nothing to do with Venezuela. I mean,
No.
in a way it does. I mean, it's an American first policy driven campaign. I mean,
Mm,
it's stop putting drugs across our border, stop selling illegal oil that we've already sanctioned you for,
mm-hmm.
that the international community has told you no. Stop being friends with China and Russia. Much like I look at it like this. I know this sounds crazy because there's a few countries in between what I'm getting ready to say, but just hear me out on this.
Mm-hmm.
Much like how we worry about um Ukraine being taken by the Russians and that opening up kind of a funnel for Russia to kind of maybe go take some more Baltic states or just
Mm-hmm.
move a little closer. Um, I think of Venezuela as kind of our this is our stop where we're saying no, get out of our hemisphere, Russia, get out of our hemisphere, China. Like the
Mm-hmm.
relationship there, I feel like it's more of a kind of get the hell out. We don't want you here. You know, you're not going to come on this side of the world. Like, it's okay. You stay in your side. We're going to stay in ours. But I also think, dude, Maduro, I mean, when they talk about him being a narco terrorist, I mean, he kind of is. He's funded, like a lot of his country is funded by the amount of fentanyl and drugs that they funnel from China into this country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good thing. So I'm excited about it. I don't know about stealing oil and like stopping tankers and all that stuff. I just think it's kind of crazy and cool when they blow up those boats. Those videos are pretty sweet. Hey, they're fishing. Yeah, they look like they're fishing when they're trying to put barrels of freaking cocaine and fentanyl back in the boat. Like, those look like fish. Yep, yep. Good job, folks.
I
But
think I think that the whole Venezuela thing, one, this is a thing that's been going on since what, the 90s, when Hugo
yeah,
Chavez took over Venezuela and it turned into a communist
the
state.
CIA stood up Hugo Chavez behind. Look, you should look that up, dude. It's kind of crazy how
Yeah.
much they stood him up, and he became a problem too big for us to handle. Honestly,
Well, I mean, I do agree with you. I think it's less about. I think it's less about drugs than it is about sending a message to China and Russia that this is our hemisphere. And
you pay for access here, buddy.
all right, I'm curious to see what's going to happen over the next. I expected there to be more happening this over the weekend. Usually, when something like when they go in and do some kind of military action that is, say, questionable, they usually do it on the weekend because of the lack of a news cycle. But so I was kind of expecting something to happen this weekend, and it didn't materialize.
I was kind of thinking that Maduro's kind of going to be like what was his name, Gaddafi in
Jesus.
Egypt.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
just kind of
All
no,
right.
no, no. But I mean,
I
just
mean,
kind
you're
of
not
just
wrong.
no. I think he's just kind of going to ride off into the sunset, and we're going to let him walk off the beach and get on a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll elect somebody new. But I don't know, man. But the problem is too that I'm noticing is yes, we're protecting ourselves, and we're doing a lot of things to stand up America First policies, which I appreciate, and it's all about protecting our borders and strong economy and everything else. But at the end of the day, you can't go around the world destabilizing a bunch of countries because then you just keep creating the vacuum, just in
Mm.
different areas. So, if Maduro falls, are we creating a vacuum for the next badass to show? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like it's kind of like the Taliban. Like, you destabilize Afghanistan, and next thing you know, the Taliban, and it's just. I'm not so sure that destabilization across the world without military like presence constantly is the right way to go.
We are very good at toppling regimes. We are not
Yeah.
good at rebuilding countries. Where
Again,
we've never
back to
been
Hugo
good at it.
Chavez.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think I think the Middle East is a bit of a different case because they are just culturally extremely different
yeah,
than than South America is. You know, you've seen basically like more right wing. I don't want to say right wing because it's not really what it is, but more anti-communist leaders get elected in the last year.
Right.
In a bunch of different countries. So there's
Right.
obviously a desire for
Well, people don't want to live under somebody's thumb, man. Like, people don't want to work and have their money taken from them. That's why, like, you know, as bad as Trump pisses people off here and makes him hard to defend sometimes, the moderates that are kind of like, I don't know where I want to be, they don't want to pay for him. You know what I mean? They don't want to pay for anybody. So at the end of the day, the guy who makes you the most money, that's why I've always told you, man, like, it's pretty simple. It all comes down to business. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you're making more money, vote for that guy, right? Like, I don't know. But
I mean, you know, the economy is important. Don't get me wrong.
Well, if we worked for a boss and I'm making you more money, like, at the end of the day, that's what impacts people's life. If you make me more, if I'm making you more money than the next guy, you're gonna fire that guy, and you know. So I mean, at the end of the day, man, I mean, people don't care about the nuts and bolts of things. People care about what impacts them at the table, dude.
Yeah, well, so what you're saying is nobody cares how the hot dog is made just as long as it tastes good. I agree with you.
By the way, that's gonna be one of those like shorts that we use on TikTok. Nobody cares how the hot dog's made. So that'll be coming to you guys soon. Just
nobody cares how the hot
I'm gonna
dog's
start
made
calling
just as long
these.
as it tastes good.
I'm gonna start calling these Sterl's Pearls. I just think it has a little ring, and it's like Sterl's Pearls.
Okay,
So that's
I
what
love
we're going
everything
with.
about that.
Yeah.
But you know, you're right. The majority of people, like if you talk to 50 people, you're probably going to have less than half of them that really care about the how and the why. They care about the result.
They just want the end result. That's what they vote for. They don't vote to do the work.
And that's okay. That's just human nature.
It goes back to, but then hold on, because that statement you just made where that's okay was not okay a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the WNBA and how, you know, they want all the reward without doing the work.
Well, now here's the thing. Yes. But I'm talking in a national sense. If you are voting, so if the WNBA, if what they did was vote for a representative to represent them in the league and the players, and then shut the up and started doing their job, that'd be one thing. But that's not what they do. That's not what they're doing.
Oh, God, we're getting canceled this week.
Well, it's
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Well, the reality is, I would say the exact same thing about the NBA.
No, I know.
If the situation was reversed. You know,
I get it. I was just kind of, you see why I kind of called you out on that a little bit. I needed an explanation, so I wanted an explanation.
No. I mean, like I say, we are not a true democracy. We're a representative republic, and so we vote for a person to go to Washington and do the things we want them to do. And we just pick the right one. And some people care about the nuts and bolts and the road that got you there and how they made it happen. And some people just care about the result because they got other stuff that they're worried about.
Well, so
that's the whole point of having the government set up the way it is.
Right. But here's something that I saw recently, and I thought this was really profound. And I don't know what to think of it, but it just seems like a profound idea. So, you know how when you go to vote in your local municipality, you vote in the state that you live in, a lot of times there's referendums and there's reforms and there's things like that. People were talking about having it on the American ballot. Like, you know, you vote for president, you vote for your congressman, but like profound things that are transformational to like abortion, you know, gay marriage, things like that, like letting it come down to the popular vote across the country on that one thing. And I thought that was a kind of interesting thing, because then you're getting a fair shake of, you know, of everybody, because do you know what I'm saying though? Like I
do to an extent.
When it comes to constitutionally changing and constitutionally ratifying things, I feel like that should be a national referendum that we all vote on. I thought that was an interesting take.
It's an interesting take. I just think that is where the states come in. I mean, so, you know, we live in one country, but you
Right.
think about the diversity of culture across the country. Then, the Northeast is vastly different than the South, and the Southwest
Right,
is
but you can
vastly
live in
different.
Los Angeles and then live in Chino or Chico, out that way in Marin County, and be very different in your approach to voting and everything else. So I feel
To a
like,
certain extent. To a certain extent. You look at, okay, think about you've obviously been to like Louisiana. How about
yeah,
Louisiana? You've been to Louisiana.
okay,
Vastly different than Massachusetts.
okay. I mean, I get that.
So, and that's what I'm saying. So, you can only narrow things down so far, but you know, uh, we as a country are not a monolith, which is a fantastic thing. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
what makes us great. And so, I think that's one of those things that it makes sense to leave those sorts of issues up to the states to a certain extent, because what works for one state is not necessarily going to work for another state.
So then, do you agree with the Department of Education approach that Trump's taking?
As far as doing it,
Leaving it up to the states and letting the states run it? Because here's the thing. There's
Mhm.
never not going to be a Department of Education secretary. There will always be a cabinet position that's responsible for what happens at a small section, whether it falls under the quote unquote Department of State or the department, right? Like it doesn't matter where it falls. There's going to be a secretary that is in that position.
Mhm.
So I feel like there's always going to be checks and balances, but I feel like you got 50 states, you got your standards, and the funding comes to you at a percentage if you're meeting your goals. If not, then you got to do it a different. You know what I mean? Like,
So, here's what I'll say. I don't necessarily I am not a big I don't like the idea of equality of outcome, but I really like the idea of equality of opportunity.
yeah,
So, I think with education, one of the problems is that, you go by, okay, perfect example, okay? Think about a town. You could have two towns next to each other, right? Two different districts, school districts, and one of them has a median income of $40,000, and the other
yeah,
one has a median income of $200,000. Do you think about how much more tax revenue there is to spend on that school and
right,
education in that district? So I think one of the mistakes that they made with like No Child Left Behind, it's a great idea, but the problem is that this is the way I look at it. If I'm going to cut funding to a school that is failing and failing their kids, my question is not if that's the slap on the wrist, I guess. My question is not, what is the school, is this not working because the teachers are lazy, the staff isn't good, nobody's trying, or is it this is not an attractive school to work in? It's not attracting the best
yeah.
candidates. You know, does cutting funding from that school improve the educational program at that school? It doesn't, like, when you think, at least to my mind, when I think
Yeah.
about it, I don't think it really makes sense. Like,
Well,
I
do
get the idea that's this is their
we
punishment for not
live?
meeting
Yeah,
the standard, but
but we also live in a country that tells us that our entire elementary and high school education doesn't matter. And the reason why I tell you that is because think about it. When you go to college, what do you pay for the first 2 years? Remedial classes on to get a general education degree. Like, so you're basically telling me everything that I just learned up until that point really doesn't matter. I get it's not a perfect one for one, but my
right.
point is, for the most part, you're dumbing down what I just learned. You're charging me money for it
Uh-huh.
versus saying, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. And I love that that more and more places are doing this. Here's an idea. You're going to graduate high school with your associate's degree. We're going to give you an opportunity to pay for those classes so you're not paying the collegiate prices at a higher level.
Mhm.
Dude, a gen ed degree in this country, I think the average price of a general like associate's degree, like gen ed, for all the gen ed classes is like I want to say it was like $14,000 last time I looked
So let
over the
me
first 2 years. That's
Okay.
ridiculous.
Well, let me look at this. Let me flip the
Yeah.
tables around on you, and just food for thought. Just mull it around a little bit. So just to make sure that I'm unpacking what you're saying correctly, what you're saying is that you graduate high school, you go to college, the college goes, you're gonna take these classes that you've already taken, and we're gonna charge you for it. And we're just
Yeah,
doing
in a
it to charge,
roundabout way.
and we're doing it because, you know, we can, we want to charge you more money, right? Essentially. Okay. On the flip side, let's turn that around a little bit. Say I'm the college. I need you for your degree to be able to do, say, trigonometry and calculus. You need to pass three college English electives of some kind, either some kind of writing thing.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to get into, say, do organic chemistry. So you need to have had some kind of chemistry already in high school. I need all, from me as a college, I want all my students to graduate, right? Because that's how they continue paying money. They get a good job. They pay back into me.
The government subsidies shouldn't be going to these schools at the rate.
Well,
they
hold
are,
on,
dude.
hold on. So I want my students to graduate, right? Because I can fundraise off them if they're successful in life, and et cetera, et cetera. So I need to make sure that if they need to pass trigonometry and calculus, I need to make sure that they can do algebra, right? So is this really and again, I'm not taking a stance one way or the other.
Yeah.
This is more of a devil's advocate thing. Is it that the colleges want to just charge students for things they've already done? Or are the colleges saying that the variance of ability of high school students from district to district, state to state, and region to region is so wide that they have to start them all in this one specific area? Like, they have to start them all from this one place to ensure that they can manage to get through their degree.
If I pass an SAT to the level that they need me to, they don't need me to do that. Like, what is the point of these standard testings, these standard tests, and everything else that you take to show a college that you have to have your ACT or your SAT, and it's an aptitude test to show your ability just to make you pay more money? Like, that's insane to me, man. Like, I'm sorry, I can't connect that. No,
I don't
no.
think that
The cost of higher education is too much. It's become burdensome. The reward is not worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Depends on the degree.
In most cases, it's not. Like 60% of 60.
There's
more kids now.
So.
There's more kids now that go to college for something that don't work in their field than there ever has been.
Well, but
it's gotten to a point where the college should be responsible for the output that they give. If you're giving an education, there should be guaranteed jobs for that educational field. It's also something to do with going back to doctors and the shortage of nurses. The country has a shortage in them. We're going to over-incentivize to push you into those fields. Like, there needs to be a correlation there at some point, because we're running up on, dude, the number one thing preventing people, like, say what you will, people say, oh, the economy's bad and you can't afford to buy, you have to live with your parents and you can't afford this younger generation and we're leaving them behind. You know why we're leaving them behind? Because we're burdening them with debt that says they're going to make money and they're not. Like, stop. Like, give them opportunities, man.
I agree to an extent that there are, again, this is one of those things where it's a question of, is this a personal responsibility thing? Because at the end of the day, you're signing a contract and you're an adult.
Right.
Or, you know, because if you make the conscious decision that I am going to go to college for underwater Native American basket weaving,
it's on you. I get it.
And again,
but college,
I question why that
there
is a
needs
degree,
to be some collegiate reform, though, too, man. Like, you can't tell me that college education hasn't gotten ridiculously high. The cost of it, they've gotten to a point where to me, these tariffs, you want to do something for somebody, pay for college education with tariffs, man. Like, make it so that people can go on and, you know, you're building a better society doing that. You know what I mean? But I don't understand. I don't understand the mental disconnect that some people have where everything's free, because it's not. You know what I mean? And so when you start thinking about it being free, no, it's not free. It does come at a cost, but that cost has to be worth, like, the reward at some point, and the nut
Mhm.
has to be, it has to be worth it, dude. And like honestly, college education as a whole is failing people in this country. You know, I speak passionately about this. My wife and I disagree. She's an educator. I speak passionately about it because I see the other side of it, where every time she goes out and shops in our community, we're paying a portion of her salary. Like, there's better ways to do things, and I just don't understand why we're not finding them. It just doesn't. It seems overcomplicated.
I will agree that one, college is too expensive because of subsidies and guarantee and because of
Yeah,
government subsidized loans. I think if there was more skin in the game, and again, it's one of those things that, and I think as this continues along, more and more people are going to figure this out. That you need to have research the degree that you're going into. What field am I going into? Are there jobs? What's the 10-year and the 15-year job outlook
dude,
for the
they're
thing that I'm going
17 and
into?
18-year-old kids. They need
I
better guidance.
well, I agree. Then
There's
there,
no guidance in any of it, dude.
I
Like, when I
agree,
was a
but
17-year-old kid, I wanted to be a college basketball coach. Let me tell you, do I coach college basketball?
I hear what you're saying. But I think writing off this idea that one, are there more than one way to routes to an education? Absolutely there are. Absolutely there are. But still, when you break it down and look at it, but just by the numbers, you are better off with a bachelor's degree from college. Your lifetime earnings, as a general statement, are higher than they are with if you go and get an associate's degree and or go to a trade school. They just are. They still are.
But see, I also think there needs to be a shift in focus.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people, like when you're 17, 18 years old, where the guidance counselors are going, pursue your passion, pursue what you're passionate about, pursue what you're passionate about. Stop
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop. No, your passion should be your pleasure, which is away from work. Work is not a passion. Those people who are fortunate enough to do it, that's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a passion, but if you ask every one of those people who got into their passion as their career and they're 15, 20 years in, guess what? They're not passionate about that career anymore. They're just not. And
Right.
so my point is, be real with people, man. Like, start telling them, listen, you're gonna have to work for like 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do what they have to do, but find the thing that you can tolerate that pays the bills and allows you to live the life and up to the means you want. I'm not saying don't pursue your dreams, don't pursue things that make you more money, but don't get this unrealistic expectation that, oh, work is always going to be a passion. I got to tell you right now, I don't work in my passion, but I'm good at what I do and I like what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and it rewards me. So, just because it's not your passion doesn't mean it can't be rewarding.
Well,
But don't get caught up, like, and that's the problem that these 17 and 18-year-old kids are being told is, oh, dream big and pursue your passions and go to college and be that NCAA basketball coach that you want to be. That's unrealistic, man. Find something real.
okay, Debbie Downer. I mean,
I'm
fair. You're
just
not
saying.
wrong.
I'm
I
not.
don't.
I'm not
I
trying to
don't
be a downer. I'm
disagree.
trying to be realistic, dude. But am I unhappy with my life, even though I'm not passionate about my career or it's not my favorite thing on earth? No, I'm perfectly happy with my life. Like, I'm perfectly content.
I think
You can
that
find contentment in things that aren't your passion. Your passion needs to be the things that you enjoy in life, your family, whatever that is for you. But I'm just saying, man, like, people get caught up in pursuing those things that they miss the mark on things that are realistic
yeah.
and can give a good life.
I agree. I enjoy my job. I like my job.
Right.
I don't generally hate. I don't hate going to work, but I'm not gonna lie. There's plenty of mornings I get up and I'm like, I don't fucking go there
I want
today.
to do this. I want to retire.
but you bring up a good
Right.
point, and I think it is very obviously a conversation that needs to happen more often with students as they're leaving high school and either entering into the workforce, into trade school, or into a collegiate education. I just don't think I want to make sure that I'm counterpointing some of the things that you're saying because
I hear you.
I disagree as far as like I don't think that college in general is bad. I think it's too
No,
expensive.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that the construct of it is bad.
Well,
And its current construction is terrible. Education is always a good thing.
I think it's one, I agree, it is too expensive. Two, I think removing subsidized student loans is a good idea. Not because it's going to it is will it for a period of time likely prevent some people from going to college? Yeah, probably. But I think over the long run it will force schools to decrease their overhead. I mean, when you have Alabama that has a better football stadium than probably 3/4 of NFL teams, there's money there that should be that could be used for other things.
It could be reallocated for
right.
sure.
So that could go to decreasing the amount of that students are having to pay for classes. So we can pretend that it's not a racket. It 100% is. I think removing those government subsidies, I think you're 100% right. That would force schools to decrease the amount of money that they're charging students, and wouldn't.
Well, there's a country, I forget which country it is, and maybe you know which one it is, but there's a country that when you go to college to one of their sponsored schools, like 10% of your income every year goes back before taxes, before anything they take, anything like that. They cut it right out to help you pay forward. And I actually like that a little bit better. Like, make it a pre-tax expense, man, where I'm getting a big refund every year and you're taking it like a 401k or my health insurance or, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't know, man. It's just gotten overcomplicated. I get frustrated with it because I think that there's a lot we could do in that arena. But I mean, the problems we face are so big, dude, that like you can't tackle them all. Like,
I mean, and we talked about this before. You were talking about using these potential Trump dividend checks from the tariffs to just pay off student debt. I think we realistically, I think we need to start figuring out what we're going to do about our national debt as a whole.
Well, I think you have to spend money to make money. And the problem is that somebody's been spending money and not making money for a while. And so now we got to make money. It's where those sovereign wealth funds come in. It's where the relationship with Intel comes in. It's where these tariffs come in. Unfortunately, like, Trump knew, like, he said it. We're going to have to spend $1 trillion, probably, but, and increase it. But here's the thing, man. It's the right thing to do to start making money for the country. And, investment doesn't happen. And we were spending so much money the last 4 years that it just, I mean, dude, we were funding socialist agendas in Rwanda, Sesame Street and Sri Lanka. Like, what are we doing, man? Like at the end of the day, if we want to make money. But you know what? Gas is down. And I've told you this since day one. It's the number one leading indicator for me about where the economy is going and what's getting ready to happen. I bet you at the end of the first quarter, people are going, holy shit. Man, we can actually loosen the belt a little bit. Like, we actually feel a little bit. Dude, I got gas for $2.29 yesterday, dude. Come on, like, it's coming down. It's coming down.
Listen, I'm not saying it's.
And
I'm not saying
that's
it's
the first
nothing.
domino.
I'm not saying it's not nothing. I'm just saying that So here's one of the problems that I see with this whole tariff thing, and you and I have talked about this a bunch of times. I have said from the beginning that if the tariffs were a scalpel and not a sledgehammer, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? I said that from, long before this podcast started. Like, I've been saying that for a hot minute. If they're a scalpel, it's a great idea. If it's a sledgehammer, it's going to create problems. It's been a sledgehammer. Have we made money? Sure. Have the prices of goods and services increased? Yes. So, part of it is that we are going to pay for it on the back end out of our own pockets. But the whole idea would be that once these things have all kind of
tax implications.
Well, so once the whole idea of the tariffs is that we're going to bring manufacturing of stuff back to the U.S. That's not a thing that's really happening as of yet. Maybe it will. I mean, factually, we have not in the amount of money being invested into U.S. manufacturing is fairly flat from Biden. It has
Yeah.
not increased. What you would want to see is that people are building new plants. We're going to build semiconductors over here. And we're going to, we're building teddy bears in Mexico, and Canada's bringing everybody maple syrup. We're just having a whole Western Hemisphere international
I'm usually the one to
party.
get us canceled, and then the most stereotypical person out of the two of us just went even more stereotypical. Like,
What do
way
you
to go,
mean?
dude.
I'm just saying.
Canadians and maple syrup, they're going to have a
Yeah,
whole
great.
army of Canadians trying to kill us now.
No, man, they do make maple syrup. They're bringing in bison and the cows from Alberta, and we're just having a NAFTA party. That's
Dude,
what should. But realistically, that's what should be
So
happening.
when I was a kid, I grew up near the Canadian border. Okay, so when I was a kid, man, like I was riding one time after a camp. We were going to a friend's house that lived in New Brunswick, Canada. Okay, so we're riding, and all of a sudden we take a left at a stop sign, and it switches to kilometers. There was no border. There was no fence. This is pre 9/11. There was nothing. And I remember as a kid, when I was like 13 years old, we would sit around and go, man, it'd be so easy to overtake the entire country of Canada. You just walk in there. Like, what the heck, man? Like, if you were planning like a takeover, Canada was definitely the spot to do it back then. Just
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I just think that Canada's good at. They've got lots of natural resources. Alberta, like the whole western part of Canada, is just like basically Texas, kind of. It's kind of weird.
I have a good friend that lives out in Alberta, man. He's like,
Mhm.
he's I don't know, like if you call them Native Canadians, like we do Native Americans or what, but he's like of one of the like Aborigine people from up there, right?
Like,
And kind of
okay.
Eskimo looking, like, tribish. And so I love the guy, man, but him and I joke all the time. He calls me a gringo and I call him a snow Mexican. We have a great relationship. But the
I
point
love
is,
that for you. Okay.
the point is, man, is there's nothing there. And so like sometimes he's like, man, I gotta go to town. It's gonna take me 2.5 hours. I'm like, where are you going, dude? Like, where?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
Well, it is a different place, but like if I think all of this tariff stuff would work out a lot better if we had better agreements with Mexico and Canada. Because here's
that whole agreement needs to be renegotiated.
Like, because here's
but
the whole
it's Trump's
issue.
first agreement, dude, and that's the
I
problem.
hear you,
it's
but
his own agreement.
This should be the priority because on a fundamental level, we don't mesh with China.
No,
Like we can't get. If
There's
you
nothing about that relationship that
Right.
benefits us long term.
they're again another totalitarian communist dictatorship that's pumping out cheap crap and flooding markets across the world with it, but that's where all the stuff comes from. So if you like things and we're not going to be able to maintain a good relationship with China, that manufacturing needs to come from somewhere else. And here's the problem. Nobody in the US, generally speaking, nobody wants to build teddy bears or sew shirts. That's just not right. I'm not wrong. That's not
No, I mean the number one. All right, Mexico,
yes,
Central America, South America,
yes,
perfect place to build factories.
yes.
Perfect place. One, you would
Mexico,
reduce the
yes.
flow. Well, you would reduce the flow of drugs drastically. You would help an impoverished people maybe develop a little bit.
I mean, Mexico's kind of it's pretty. I mean, the argument stands.
It depends on where you are, dude.
Well, a lot of Mexico's
right,
like a second, first world country, yeah.
But it's not.
They have a more educated workforce.
It's not.
They have a better educated workforce than China. They work at a.
They're younger.
They're younger. Like I say, my whole point.
You want to stop the flow of border. You want to stop the flow of the border traffic. And fight some of what's happening. Maybe give people opportunity in Mexico. And the thing is, all of a sudden, transportation, cost of goods, it actually balances in the long run if you make these long-term plays because you're not going as far. I mean, I was reading a thing, and I don't know how true it is. I need to look into it, but I was reading a thing the other day about those ships by, what is it, Maersk or whatever. I was reading that like a container ship from China to here costs $140,000 on average to get here. driving across the border, man. Like, what are we doing?
Well, but again, it's one of those things. This is what happens with globalization. When you have a product, an end product that has, when you trace it back down to its core components, all the way down to the minerals that were, you take an iPhone. iPhones have like 18,000, not parts, but different steps in production. So when
Yeah.
you look at getting the aluminum for the case and getting the silica to make the motherboard, make the boards, making the chips, when you break it all the way down, it's like 18,000 steps.
Right.
So, and those things are moving all across the world all the time. You know, it stands to reason that it would be much easier to build them on one side of the world if we're going to be the ones consuming them.
You would think so.
One would think, but
Listen.
all of these manufacturing processes are so intertwined that, you know, figuring out how to do to get all of the things that you need to do those things on this side of the world is going to be difficult. And it's going to take time.
It stands to reason that that's the same thing in most of our society now, in the way we live, is that the problems are too big to fix them in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, you can tackle them and you can try to fix them, but it's right down to your healthcare, man, like you were saying earlier. But regardless, so dude, we've been talking for a while. I'm gonna go ahead and cut us off here. I'm gonna say this is a good place to jump off. I just want to say, man, Merry Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I love you, buddy. This has been a fun ride. It's been super cool to do this with you. I don't know where it's going or what journey we're on, but I'm super excited for the 26th flip, you know, and see what happens next year. I do think that you should probably look at that sweater with a little less Darth Vader and a little more Celtics, but we can talk about that later. Here's where we're at, man. Merry Christmas. Stay a dude. Do all the things that we need you to do. Like, follow, subscribe. Just remember, we love you guys. We appreciate you. Stay a dude. Stay a dude. Stay a dude. And Sterling, stay a dude.
I'm the king of my driveway, mowing lines so straight. Got a toolbox full of glory and a mortgage by the plate.